David, you have lived in Los Angeles in the 2010s. Was your experience closer to doing coke off credit cards at a rich person's house in the hills or doing coke off a girl's backside in a seedy club in Hollywood?
Why not both on the same night?
Oh, I like it. Very fun.
That's right.
This is what David was like when he was like 14 years old.
Yeah. And then I ran off to Nevada so they couldn't arrest me because I went across state lines.
Exactly. You trafficked yourself across state lines.
Yeah, exactly. I went to Las Vegas so I could do more coke there. This is David, as usual, joined by Brandon, my co-host.
As usual.
That's right.
You didn't even let me say my name this week.
That's right. I decided to steal that from you the way that the Bling Ring stole purses and stuff.
Nice.
That's the theme of the episode, I guess.
Stealing from each other. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Armenia, shout out. Shout out Jennifer. Wow.
At this point, you're not even stealing it because you get it every single week.
Not every week. I don't think we did one last week. But we have a great show for you this week. After watching one of the worst things ever and listening to one of the worst things ever last week, we are back. And hopefully we watched and listened to something that is better for at least one of us.
Yes.
I don't know.
We'll see.
I can't guarantee. I don't know. I know how I feel about both of these things. And I think I have a feeling that David's not going to love this album. But we will see. Because first, I have to ask David the eternal question. What did you watch in this past week?
I actually rewatched something this past week. Because I rewatched the Hunger Games prequel with the really long title that I do not care to remember. It's about Coriolanus Snow, for those of you who know the universe.
Is that the one from like 5 years ago or so?
Like 3 years ago. It was the one with the snakes and the birds. And
Okay.
That stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what it's called either. It's too long.
It's way too long. They should have just been like Hunger Games prequel.
Hunger Games, the Battle of Songbirds and Snakes or something like that. Is that right?
Something like that.
That sounds something like it. That's off the dome.
They should have like named it like Hunger Games Snowlands on Top or something, honestly.
Snowlands on Top. Okay.
That's like the catchphrase of the book. Anyways.
Oh, okay. I know nothing about this. I've never seen any of them.
I rewatched it because the other prequel is coming out this year and Jennifer had never seen this one. For reference, she was a big fan of the Hunger Games, in her teens. She read all the books, she saw the movies, etc., etc. I also, I always also enjoyed them. I read the books. I also watched most of the movies. But ironically, she never saw the prequel. So we were like, you know what? Let's rewatch it so that we're both ready to go into this other prequel movie because we are planning to watch it. And yeah, it's a solid movie. It's definitely overstuffed, I think. Like, it's just very long. And what I've heard, as someone that hasn't read the book, what I've heard is that you miss a lot from the movie because you can't hear the main character's inner monologue that you can in the book. And of course, the main character of this book is literally the villain of the original trilogy. So, like, his psychology is important as you watch him, like, you see him become more of a psychopath, which I feel like you don't fully grasp in the movie. But I still enjoy it. Like, I think it's very well made. I still give it a 4 just because I think it is a very, like, enjoyable, like, popcorn movie. I, like, even though it's missing some stuff, I'm sure, from the book, I'm still like, hell yeah, I'm there for the journey. We all go to Hunger Games to watch people killing each other, let's be honest. So there we go. And I do love the design of the movie because it's like 1950s inspired. So that's what I watched. But what have you been listening to?
A bunch of garbage, unfortunately.
Tracks.
I'm at the point, once again, I feel like I'm going to say this about every 3 months on the podcast. I'm at the point, once again, where I don't care about listening to new music anymore because it's all so bad that it's just like, it just makes me sad, And yesterday I went out shopping. I had like a 20-minute drive, threw on an old playlist, and I was like, damn, this used to hit so much harder. Like, music just used to be good. But kind of continuing that trend, sadly, one of my most anticipated albums of the year, Detour by Kim Petras, is what I listened to in this past week. And it was good, but it was not great. And I thought it was going to be great.
That's a
The
bummer.
singles were all very good, except for one. The best song that was released during this whole period of like promoting the album was not on the album. It will live as a YouTube and SoundCloud exclusive. That was a perfect 5 out of 5. It's called Pop Sound if you want to hear it. It's great. But this album was good, but it was surprisingly one note for being an artist that innovates a lot. It is definitely her most cohesive and consistent album, and probably her best. Actually, not probably, it is her best. But even then, I know she's capable of so much more, and I feel like this album just wasn't hitting the way I wanted it to. So, unfortunately, that one will slot in at a 3.5. But I think there's a few songs on there that are definitely worth listening to, and that I will be streaming this summer. Just overall, it wasn't as impressive as I was hoping. That brings us to the end of what we watched and listened to. And we got to talk about the other things we watched and listened to this week, which we spent a lot more time with. Because this is Dead Roses, the debut album by blackbear, released independently on February 14th, 2015, and it was preceded by all 4 of its singles. And I'm going to ask you straight up one easy question. Have you heard of blackbear before?
I have literally never heard of them before. So yeah, I was going into this completely blind. I wasn't even sure exactly what the style would be. I knew the genre, but I wasn't sure what the style would be kind of within that genre. So 100% blind.
So blackbear is Matthew Musto. He was raised in Palm Coast, Florida, but has been based in Los Angeles since the early 2010s. His first love was punk music, and he was the lead singer of Polaroid, a punk band from Palm Coast. After dropping out of high school, he moved to Atlanta to become an R&B singer under the supervision of Neo, who we talked about in the Rihanna episode just a few weeks ago.
Right.
He released multiple EPs and a mixtape, both under his birth name and as blackbear. He also made songs with longtime collaborators and friends Machine Gun Kelly and Mike Posner, the latter of whom he co-wrote Boyfriend by Justin Bieber with.
Oh, wow.
This is, like I said, blackbear's debut album, and throughout the years, he has said it is his best album. I and many others agree with that. This came out in the mid-2010s, at the peak of the Los Angeles always summer fad. That's what I'm calling it. It's the Obama era optimism mixed with the kind of like, we're going to be young forever ideals of the early 2010s pop music, all like converging on Los Angeles. I hear this album and I think of sunshine, Snapchat filters, Starbucks, and palm trees. This was the aesthetic, and I think that this is one of the best albums at capturing this romanticized version of LA.
Mm-hmm.
This is an alternative R&B album. We've covered the genre before with Banks and SZA, as well as Loose and the Yakuza in the French language. And we've also had varying levels of success in this genre for you.
Yeah.
And me too. But I'm specifically asking you, because of that, what were your expectations going in here, especially after hearing me say that I didn't think you would like this album?
Honestly, it was that more than the genre that gave me the expectation that I would not like this. I mean, I felt like it wasn't going to be as low as Total Anarchy or I don't know, even like Skrillex, for instance. But I was thinking maybe like a 3 or at worst a 2.5. That's what I kind of came into the album with.
It's interesting that you trust my read of this more than you trust the genre and you thinking like, I don't like R&B, which I think is good because that means you're going into it with an open mind that maybe one day you will really love R&B.
Well, and the thing is like there is some R&B that I do like, which maybe was a part of it. Like there's some 90s R&B that I like.
Yeah, as soon as you saw 2015 R&B, you were like, oh shit, it's over.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
So this album was released to positive reviews. However, it is now disliked on music forums. It exists within the lineage of the 2010s R&B that was pioneered by The Weeknd and Frank Ocean. As we talked about last week, SoundCloud also played a major role in music discovery at this time, and blackbear was actually one of the first independent artists to make money from SoundCloud. There was a sense of DIY to the scene, and speaking for myself, you felt a sense of pride in discovering smaller artists that would then blow up. I first discovered blackbear in 2016 during one of my big music discovery phases. IDFC and Dirty Laundry were playlisted on Spotify and were generating some buzz, and I really enjoyed his EP, The Afterglow, which came out directly before this. However, the first thing I actually heard by him was his remix of Ocean Eyes by Billie Eilish, which I will force you to listen to when we cover Billie Eilish in this season. Hint, hint. This album peaked at number 37 on the Billboard Top R&B/Hip Hop Albums chart and number 20 on the Billboard Independent Albums chart. It was executive produced by blackbear, Tabari Francis, and Calvin Mr. Hay, and I could not find any information about who mixed or mastered this album, so my apologies, but it does not seem to exist. My predictions for you. Your favorite song will be 90210, which you will rate a 3, and you will complain about G-Eazy's verse and say that the song could have been a 3.5 if he wasn't on it. And your least favorite will be Dirty Laundry, and I think you will rate this album a 2.5. And with that, it's time for track number 1, For You, written by blackbear and Kizzo and produced by Kizzo. This was the second single, released January 7th, 2015, and I want to hear you first.
I was definitely going into this wondering how much I would dislike this based off of what you told me. So I am happy to say that I didn't hate this.
Let's go.
I quite enjoyed this. It's definitely not my favorite style. I'm definitely not very interested in R&B, or at least this style of R&B.
R&B after the year like 2005.
Yeah, pretty much. Probably. I'm not going to put that for certain just because I've also barely heard any R&B from like the 90s and 80s.
I should say probably like 2008, because that's like when post-teen pop took over. You know, we get some more like electronic elements and R&B switches over to more trap sound.
But yeah, I feel like this genre or this style of R&B just doesn't really grab me that much. But I think this song worked better for me than typical. Like it kind of got me into a little bit of a groove. So I was surprised, but this is actually a 3.5 for me.
Wow.
Like I enjoyed it. Yeah. I know. I was very surprised. I was expecting to dislike all of this much more.
Okay, that's good.
So,
that makes me feel better. I do think we'll have at least one 2.5, if not more.
We'll see.
I'm not going to ask if this is your highest because I don't want to know yet, but I assume this is not your favorite.
Did I even decide on a favorite, honestly?
Oh.
I'm like trying to think.
Also, this is a perfect time because I never made you decide what your least favorite song was from Lil Xan's album last week. If you'd like to tell the people what that is.
I'll tell you guys. I mean, my least favorite from Lil Xan's album was TikTok.
Yes. And now we have an official decision on that. And now I'm going to ask you, is this your favorite or is there another one and you'll decide at the end?
I think I'm going to go with another song.
Okay. Sounds good.
I just remembered another song, like something about another song. So I'm going to go with that, honestly.
I feel like I didn't write a ton about these songs, but
me neither,
I don't
honestly.
know. Looking back, now that it appears on my phone instead of my computer, I'm like, actually, maybe I did write a little bit. So I'm going to tell you a few things here. And I kind of like made a narrative for this album because I feel like that's something that a lot of people haven't done. And this album has always had kind of like a story to me about this time, this mid 2010s in Los Angeles, and this character that blackbear is either playing or genuinely is. But either way, like, I don't know, I find it interesting. So I wrote down for this song that we start off the album trying to impress these California girls in the 90210, but let's see how long that lasts. And then I wrote down immediately, I don't have a lot to say about this one, other than the production is top notch, the vocals are great, and most of all, the reason that blackbear was my top artist for like 5 years straight, the melodies are exactly what I want. I'm not sure if I've talked extensively about how I listen to a bunch of different artists for different things, but blackbear, much like Charlie XCX, those are my melody and cadence artists for like vocals. This is by far my favorite part of songwriting, which is why they've always been my top artists, damn near since the beginning of Spotify Wrapped. That is dedication. For You lays out one of the main themes of the album, materialism. Instead of forming any real connection between two people, blackbear will just buy this girl stuff, and it seems like that's all she really cares about anyway. People who don't like this music call it shallow, which I think is a valid criticism, but I'm not sure it is a criticism. I think it's a criticism more later in blackbear's discography. I think it's more of just an observation on this album, and I think it really works for me. And finally, this song introduces one other common theme throughout blackbear's career. The verses are lyrically the same in this song. I have always admired this because it's the less is more approach, and it's something that I cannot bring myself to do. I rated this song a 4.5.
That's interesting because I really noticed the lyrics when I was listening to these songs, and I feel like they didn't really work for me. I feel like for me they left something to be desired, and the parts that tended to work a little bit better was the production. Of course, that depends on the songs, but I could also see that being the fact that like there's a lot of stuff going on with the vocals, which I tend not to be the fan of. So maybe that played a part too. I don't know.
I mean, I will say, I don't think this is like the greatest written thing ever, but I think for what it's trying to do, I like that. And a lot of people do not, which I understand. That takes us to track number 2, I Needed You, written by blackbear and Petros and produced by Petros. And this song interpolates When I Needed You the Most by Sango. Spent 3 whole days on cocaine.
Story of my life.
That's what I wrote down about this song. This song also represents the downsides of dating these 90210 girls, but also interrogates the fuckboyness of blackbear's persona.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a word, but I feel like it should be. And also, we have a piano on this song, which always gets points from me. And I like it, but it is tied for my least favorite. It switches each listen between this song and another song, but I will give it to I Needed You for now, just because it's not as replayable as the other song on here that I've weirdly found myself listening to more just because I always thought it was my least favorite, and I was like, I'm not listening to it. However, this being my least favorite, it is still a 4. So it's still a good song, and I still really like it.
So
this is a very consistent album.
That's very true. I mean, I agree that it is consistent because to me, this is also 3.5 compared to For You.
Nice.
To me, this is less melodically interesting than For You, even though it's like very close. And I think that kind of goes to like what I had mentioned when we were talking about For You, where I feel like each song kind of fluctuates. Like some parts of each song work better than other parts. And I feel like I felt that here more than I did with For You. And that's why it's like a lower 3.5.
That's fair. Yeah.
But it still works. Like I was very pleasantly surprised that I was still at a 3.5 2 songs in.
This is going better than I thought. I assume it's going to fall apart pretty quickly, but
just wait till we get to the next song.
Yeah. Literally, just wait. Track number 3, Ain't Trippin', written by blackbear and Nick Nack and produced by Nick Nack. This was the 3rd single, released January 9th, 2015. We are back to falling for these LA girls. And when it sounds this good, it makes me want to try Hinge in LA again. Just kidding. Hot take, the chorus is one of his best ever. He says, and I won't fall, 4 times in 3 different ways. And it makes the chorus feel like it's always growing in a new direction.
Right.
I have restarted this song before it's finished each time I've listened to this album. That's how good this one is. This is a perfect pop song. My only complaint is it's too short. And the outro of this song always makes me think of that one picture of Simon Cowell captioned when the main riff comes back slower and nastier. I gave this song a perfect 5, and this one is my favorite on here. Tell me this is your least favorite.
Well, first thing I have to say is that Simon Cowell, whenever I hear that name, I think of his like little walk down that hallway in that video. Where he's like clapping with his hands held close. Anyways.
No shout out to Simon Cowell. He seems like he's actually a pretty bad guy.
And then he told everyone to get plastic surgery, and then he got it, and he looks like an alien, honestly. Sorry.
That's why that's why it's slower and nastier, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly. Let me tell you a little story about this song. The song starts, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is better than the last 2 songs. And it keeps on going, and I'm like, oh my God, this is actually really good. This might be a 4. The guitar work, I really like the plucking style. The vocals actually work for me here. The lyrics, they're just okay. But like for most of the song, I was fully like, oh my God, this is the best song, and this is a 4. And then I got to the ending, and I was like, nope. Did not work for me at all. It's still a 3.5 because I liked like most of the song, but the ending just did not work for me at a level that it just pushed it down to 3.5. But it's still a 3.5. It's still positive, and it's not my least favorite.
I do think that the outro is weird because it's like, why slow
Yeah.
it down and why do that?
It doesn't fit, in my opinion.
I mean, I think that is the point. I don't like that really, but at the same time, this song is so good that I just, it's fine to me. It's part of it. It's okay. It doesn't ruin it for me. And it still ends up being a 5 and my favorite song.
Right.
But I will say this was at the beginning of this happening as this like a trend. Now this happens on, I would say 40% of like hip hop and R&B songs. And it is annoying and it's really bad.
It.
I don't know why people are doing this. If you can't figure out how to end a song, you probably should get someone else to help you write that song.
Yeah.
That's my hot take. I think this one could have literally just ended after the like double time kick drum.
I
you don't
agree.
need that like outro.
I absolutely agree.
I will say I'm used to it now, so it's not as annoying to me. But listening to this song back, like the first time I listened to this album in the past like 2 weeks, I was like, damn, that really does like suck because I kind of wish it wasn't there. But I don't know. I still like this song so much that I've learned to live with it.
And I will say it is still my favorite.
This is your favorite on the album?
This is my favorite on the album.
Oh, you didn't say that. We have the same favorite?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no,
Wow.
This is my favorite. I would have to choose this.
That's pretty good. I'm happy about that because
We are in agreement.
David, I have to tell you something. This song has trap drums in it. It has a snap. Like that's
wild.
You shouldn't like this. And I'm glad you do.
I really
somewhat.
shouldn't. If you think about it, that ending really helps to continue my narrative by keeping it at 3.5.
That is
but
true,
yeah, no, it just like I think I really like the production. And I think
the
that really
production is
comes through
great.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially with that guitar. Like that guitar really stood out to me. The guitar work in the specific song.
And you gotta admit the chorus, even if it's so simple lyrically, melodically, it's just so good.
No, I agree with that. I think this song does really work.
This song is a perfect example of Southern California music to me, That's my genre that I'm coining, It's just like it makes you think of LA in the summertime and it's kind of like funky and it's kind of like rap, it kind of R&B, but it's always sung by a white guy.
Yeah.
That's Southern California music to me.
Well, and let me say that I think this also does fit so well with the movie because of that. Like the vibe feels very close.
Hell yeah.
For obvious reasons.
Wow. What reasons, I wonder? Oh, I probably should have said at the beginning of this episode.
I wonder where the movie is set.
Yeah. And in what time period? I probably should have said at the beginning of this episode, though, because I teased it last week. This episode is about LA in the 2010s. Like straight up. And I guess if you watched the movie, you would know that too. Although the movie does feel like it is like straddling the line between 2000s and 2010s in LA. Because I know the crimes took place in like 2009, but like the movie feels like a little bit more like post-teen pop era, like 2010, 2011. So
it feels like early 2010s to me. I don't know. That was a very distinct time in Los Angeles.
Do you think, actually, this is a great time for me to ask you the question. Do you think the mid 2010s in Los Angeles were distinct? Because there was this feeling outside of LA that like that was the place to be in the mid 2010s.
I feel like it was like 2010, 2011 to like 2016 or 17. It definitely felt like there was just a lot happening here that had obviously like both positive and negative, sides to it. But it definitely felt like things were starting up here and really like becoming a kind of like
the center of culture.
Yeah, it was like, it really was the center of culture. I don't know, something did shift. I don't know what, but it started to kind of move away from that in, I think, the late 2010s. And then COVID fully came and just destroyed it all. Because in a lot of ways, it's been dead since COVID. Like,
yeah,
you can tell.
Just having lived there post-COVID, it is kind of insane. Like, how after like 10 p.m., it feels like the city's kind of like dead except for certain areas. It's just like wild to me because there's how many millions of people? Too many.
But no, that's like legitimately a thing that people talk about. It hasn't bounced back really in a lot of ways.
It's interesting that you say as well 2011 to 2017 because in that I agree with all of that. Mm-hmm. I think there's two distinct eras there too. I think there's the the post-teen pop let's go clubbing era.
Yeah.
And then there's the mid 2010s where it's like let's go drive down the PCH with the top down
Yeah.
era.
Yeah.
That's like the Starbucks, Instagram, Snapchat filters era. That's like what this is to me, this album.
That's when like the rise of the internet celebrities really started to come
Yes.
about, you know?
Yeah.
That's what really ushered that in.
That's like when I think of like stuff from that era, like the saying, the phrase Netflix and chill, like that's just very like mid 2010s LA to me.
No, 100%. Absolutely. I'm telling you, people here have nostalgia for the 2010s because...
And they should.
As they should. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Obviously, like for me, I was quite young, so I did not experience a lot of that side. And I'm also like an introvert who likes movies and
You weren't
books
fucking doing coke in the mid 2010s, David? Oh my God. Where were
just
you?
a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. It didn't
just
make
a
it
tiny
to the valley,
bit after
I guess.
school.
Yeah, there you go. On the bus ride home.
Well, true. I lived on the valley, aka the suburb boring part of LA.
If you wanted the valley to be cool, 1980s, the Valley Girl, Sherman Oaks Galleria. Oh,
That was the
good
time to
old
be alive
days.
in the valley. Yeah. And now I live right by the Sherman Oaks Galleria and it be dead.
That place is popping, let me tell you. They just lost their last restaurant or whatever. Anyway,
They did.
we have another distinct area of Los Angeles to talk about with track number 4, 90210, featuring G-Eazy. This is written by Ben Harrison, blackbear, Frequency, and G-Eazy, and it's produced by Ben Harrison and Frequency. Perhaps this is the song of the album. This perfectly sums up the type of women that blackbear hangs out with in Beverly Hills, and the type of women G-Eazy is also obsessed with.
Yeah.
Honestly, the perfect feature if it was going to have to be a rapper, even if I sometimes don't want to hear from him. This is another classic, the verses are the same song, but when it's this good, why change it? We get a shout out to FITM, which is Fashion Institute of Design and whatever the M stands for, which they also mentioned in the movie. So that's kind of fun. And I wrote, absolutely beautiful production, and that outro is to die for. I've always felt this song and Baby Spiders by All Day are similar, which we covered earlier in the year. I ended up giving this one a 5.
Whoa.
Even with G-Eazy's verse, which I don't always love, and I'll talk about that reasoning a little bit on the next song. What did you think about this song, and did G-Eazy ruin it for you?
I think his part was just like, like I didn't really care, to be honest.
Okay, that's a step up, I think.
That is a step up. I will say, I feel like this song, like, kind of what I've talked about before, where parts of a song will work much better than other parts, and it's kind of a mixed bag. I did feel that quite a lot with this song, but that wasn't specifically because of that one verse.
Okay.
You know, like
that's good, I think.
Yeah, his part in it didn't play like a big element in my reasoning, pretty much.
And I will say, on that note, he does stay on theme, which is good.
True.
Because if the verse, if he was just rapping about a bunch of random shit that does not matter, then that would have ruined the song. But I think he is still rapping about the same women that blackbear is singing about. So it's kind of like, you know?
True, yeah.
It works in a way.
They're on the same page.
Yeah.
I can totally see why you picked this to be my favorite, though. Because it reminded me of Troye Sivan, kind of.
Yes.
But
I see that.
Yeah. But it felt like a much less successful Troye Sivan song, if that makes any sense. So this is just a 3. It's just okay.
That's all right.
I didn't really catch me. It's much more of a mixed bag for me, I think, which is why it's like that.
Ironically, I did say this would be a 3 for you. I said it'd be your highest score. But,
yeah,
you know, I'm
you
okay
were right
with
about
that.
the score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Track number 5, Ain't Love. Written by blackbear, Jay Hill, Michael Lee, Tane Runo, and Z Will, and produced by Jay Hill. It's time to get vulnerable, or as vulnerable as Playboy blackbear can. This has some of my favorite production. Can we please get back to this style of R&B? It feels like floating in a pool in Hollywood at 2 a.m. There is still a level of confidence that this character has that I find very compelling, especially since it seems to have disappeared by the next song. blackbear is certain that they would work as a couple, yet that they would also be the death of each other, which I think is kind of an interesting predicament. And here's what I promised I would talk about. Looking at the last time I rated this album, I gave 90210 a 4.5 and Ain't Love a 5. But this time I switched the scores. I assume they will switch back again on a further re-listen. So I gave this song a 4.5. I don't really know why. It's just what I was feeling in this past week. I assume we're nearing the part of the album where it kind of doesn't work as well for you, but I don't know for sure.
This song just kind of felt murky to me. If
I think that is a
any
perfect
sense.
description.
Yeah, the production feels very murky. And because of that, I honestly felt like I could not get into the song very well. It was hard to grasp the production for me. And because of that, the melody was also hard to grasp. And something interesting about the vocals, they really reminded me of some of the vocals in 3 by Banks.
Oh.
Especially in that first section that I really like. But they didn't really work for me here. I don't know specifically why.
Could be a voice thing too. You know, like you like somebody's voice more.
Yeah, it could be like that mixed with the muted sound of the production. But yeah, this song did not work for me. It didn't like come across for me. So this is actually my least favorite song. This is a 2.5.
That makes sense. I understand that. It's not really a surprise that this is your least favorite. I think it's just a matter of, does this style work for you or not?
Yeah.
And I really do like this style. I don't typically, I think is the weird thing, because it is kind of like,
That's interesting.
you know, it's weird. It takes some getting used to. But I feel like when I've heard other artists do this style, it doesn't work as well. I do really like blackbear's voice, though. That's one thing that I've always like been drawn to with him more than other R&B singers. Now it's time for track number 6, IDFC, written and produced by blackbear. This was the lead single released October 27th, 2014. It is time for the insecurity blackbear feels with dating a girl from the 90210. This song was such a moment, both as it exists and how it factors into the style of music that was popping off in the mid-2010s. Would you be surprised if I told you that this is secretly an EDM song masquerading as a pop R&B song?
Oh shit. I don't think I picked up on that.
It's weird because I wouldn't have picked up on that in the moment either. It has a slow build in each verse. Through the chorus is small and pulled back relative to what comes after it, and what comes after it is an instrumental drop with a melody. There's a melody that doesn't exist in any other place with the synthesizers, which I adore. Another artist that consistently did this structure around this time is Eden, who was also my first love outside of EDM. I think this structure is so underrated, and it's a great way to make a song memorable if it doesn't have a huge chorus, which I don't think this song does.
Yeah.
And this is another classic. The verses are the same song, except the production is extremely different between the verses, which makes it feel like a completely different verse, weirdly.
Right.
This is the hit from the album. It was also weird because it was released in 2014. The album came out in 2015. The song started getting a little bit popular in late 2016, and then it actually like really was popular in 2017 by the time his third album came out. It was a very slow burn on Spotify. I think it's around 900 million streams right now on Spotify, which is pretty large and significantly bigger than any of the other songs on this album. But I think that's very interesting. I gave the song a 4.5. What did you think about this one?
It's interesting that you bring up the fact that like this is kind of like an EDM song. I didn't really pick up on that, but something that I did notice was the beat, which did really work for me. I think maybe like the quieter tone of the song is what maybe threw me off and didn't make me realize that this is pretty much like an EDM song.
I mean, I will be honest, I didn't really think about it until like last year.
No, yeah.
Because it's such a very brief moment in time where it's like, we're going to change the structure of a pop song and we're going to give it a melody that's not related to anything else, which I love. I'm a melody guy.
Me
you
too.
know?
Well, the interesting thing is like, I liked the beat because it, you know, I like beats like that. You know, I'm a fan of EDM. I feel like the part that did not remind me of EDM, which was the production, is the part that didn't work as much for me here. Like if it had been closer to, you know, quote unquote classic EDM or like house music, I probably would have liked it more. But the beat like really came through for me. And I think once the song gets going, the production also started to work more for me. So yeah, this is actually a 3.5. I feel like the EDM elements of it are really pulling the way for me here or something. I don't know.
And this one was a written and produced solely by blackbear song, which I find interesting. There's only one other one on the album that is just him.
What is the other one?
Dirty Laundry, which I think is kind of different, but you will see that I have a similar comment on that song, which
Yeah.
we'll talk about in a little
I'm
bit.
very intrigued now.
It's time for track number 7, Waste Away, featuring Devin Baldwin. Written by Aaron Harmon, Aaron Miller, blackbear, Devin Baldwin, and Jordan Reyes, and produced by Basecamp. Their voices work so well together. Mixing a light and airy falsetto with a strong-bodied voice, especially a female voice, always gets me. I love the formant shifting on his vocals throughout this song. It adds an off-kilter feeling to it that makes it feel similar to Ain't Love in my mind. I don't think you will like this. Also, hands down, my favorite production on the album. It is so simple, and another example of less is more. This one was my favorite for a while too. This one is a 5.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly not the biggest fan of the vocals in this song.
Yep.
I don't know. It just doesn't really work for me. It's not terrible. It just doesn't come together very much for me. The production also is just like fine. I didn't have a very strong reaction to this song, honestly. It just kind of ended up being one of those songs where you're like, I wanted more. It's a 3.
Track number 8, Dirty Laundry, written and produced by blackbear. This was the 4th single, released February 4th, 2015. I wrote, every blackbear album needs a man whore anthem. And then I wrote the lyric, girls with cocaine on they backsides. This one has always felt like a sister song to IDFC because of its secret EDM structure.
Damn.
Weirdly,
That's
both of
wild.
them are the produced by blackbear songs because there's that break. It's not right, quote unquote, right, if you're making like a pop song or a pop R&B song, but I like it for that reason.
Right.
I went into the album thinking that this would easily be my least favorite because it always has been. But honestly, it is just fun. This is the other 4 on the album. I thought this was going to be the worst. I gave it 2. I Needed You this time, but I don't know. It'll probably cycle back and forth. We'll see. It is interesting though. Last time I rated this album, I gave the song a 3, so it has improved significantly. This is the one that I chose to be your least favorite. Obviously it isn't, but did it work less for you?
It did, to the point where I didn't even catch any of those like EDM elements in it, to be honest. It feels like a switch up to me from the last song. And I think that's because of because of the style production. It's very, very minimal to me. It feels very minimal, which is interesting that, it has that EDM structure to it.
It's a little bouncier.
It is
too.
a little bouncier, yeah. But I feel like I would never have guessed that this has some EDM like structure to it because it did. To me, EDM always feels like it's very big, and this felt super minimal. It felt kind of like the opposite in some ways. So I would have never made that connection.
I don't want to say specifically that this is an EDM song. I think it's more of the like secretly. I think the thing that's really getting me. So I'll explain it more because I also, as you're saying that, I'm like, you know what? People might misunderstand me. The whole point of it is specifically in IDFC. The post chorus is a drop.
Right. And
essentially.
that's the part that really starts working better for me.
Right.
ironically.
Yeah. And in this song, the chorus is actually big. So it's not really like the true EDM song. It's to a lesser extent. But then you do have that post chorus where he pretty much just says, I'm out of control. And you get a melody that isn't heard like anywhere else in the foreground necessarily. So it is still a little bit of that, like there's a post chorus drop almost. Even if it isn't exactly the same, it's still kind of functioning in that same way where it's like a break with a melody that's unique to that section. So I just find it very fascinating because
It is
didn't
interesting.
catch that until like recently, going back and being, 10 years removed from this era and thinking about it now.
No, it is genuinely very interesting to like learn about these minute details that have connections to other things. So yeah. Did I say my score?
I don't think you did.
This is a 3.
Okay, that's about what I expected.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
if you didn't say
continue
that,
the trend.
I was going to say, is this a 3? Because that's just locked into my head.
Yeah.
We got 2 more songs. Track number 9, My Heart Is Lost, written by blackbear, DJ That, and Mod Sun, and produced by DJ That and Mod Sun. This is a love letter to unrequited love in Los Angeles. And just like Lionhearted by Porter Robinson, this was one of the originators of Track 9 Theory. This was my favorite song on the album, ironically, until I moved to LA.
That's funny. I like that.
This song also has one of the lines that sums up the album for me. I fall in love the more you ignore me. That's just a very, like, materialistic women type of thing where he's like,
Yeah.
oh, poor me. And I don't want to say that. I'm saying women because that's who he's talking about in this song. I don't want to say that men are exempt from this because they aren't. But, it is the people he's talking about are very specific,
Right. Yeah.
a type of person that you know in LA and have definitely met.
Yeah. 100%.
And this is another song where the production is amazing and complex, which counteracts the simple and repetitive chorus. Just all around great. It sounds like sunsets in the summer in LA. I also gave this one a perfect 5.
Weirdly enough, compared to the last song, which felt quite minimal to me, this song, the production feels too busy. It feels
Yeah,
like there's
it's all over the
so
place.
much going on. Yeah, it kind of threw me off for a loop because I was honestly expecting something a little bit similar to Dirty Laundry when I was going into the song, because I was like, oh, I feel like we're on a kind of a trend. But this was in some ways the opposite.
It also does start out where it's like kind of small, and
Yeah,
it like
and then
tricks
it-
you into thinking that, and the chorus is like, holy
grows.
shit,
Yeah.
there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, it just didn't fully come together. I think it was too much going on at the same time for me. Ironically, I feel like I'm the type of person where it's like, if there's too little, I don't like it. If there's too much, I don't like it. But this did work better than Dirty Laundry for me. It's still a 3, but it's a higher 3.
It's time for the final track, the title track, number 10, Dead Roses, written by blackbear and Bryant Bowens and produced by The Faculty. It samples Brett and a panel of women are discussing how he was sent dead roses from a 1975 episode of Match Game. Just like how we started the album, we must end with a classic, The Verses Are the Same song. One of my favorite vocal performances on the album, and once again, stellar production. I gotta shout out the piano on here. And honestly, a perfect end to the album. We start with how blackbear will buy anything for this girl to earn her affection, knowing that that's the only way, and we end with him being sad that she never showed him love in any meaningful way. I love this album as a character study for the fucked up people of Los Angeles. I gave the song a 4.5.
It's definitely different from My Heart Is Lost to me, but it's different in ways that still don't work that well for me. I think it feels kind of stop and start, if you know what I mean. It feels like it gets going, then it stops, then it gets going, then it stops, kind of again and again. And then the vocal performance just didn't really work for me, honestly. It's not a bad ending. This is still a 3. It's okay to me. But I feel like this kind of put the bow on like a second half that just didn't work that much for me, or worked less. Because I guess like it's still, still a lot of 3s, but it still didn't fully come together for me as much as the first half did. And that's why the song is a 3.
I do want to hear what you think about this album overall. Did it work for you?
So let me start with my score. This album is a 3. Ironically, I feel like my reaction to this album is the reaction that I had to a lot of the songs where, the songs were kind of like mixed, where some elements worked for me, some elements didn't. And also parts of the specific songs worked for me and then other parts didn't. And ironically, that's kind of what this album was to me. Some parts worked better, some parts worked less. But ultimately, it's a 3. It's all right. I could see myself returning to Ain't Tripping, even though I'm still sad about that ending. And of course, there were other songs that I did enjoy, like For You and I Needed You, etc., etc. So, there was a lot to enjoy. There was definitely stuff that, I don't know, there was genre elements, I think, that just don't work for me with this style of R&B. So I think no matter what, it would still have been lower. But I am happy that this is not like a 2.5. I'm happy that quite a few of the songs worked better for me than I honestly expected them to, based off what you told me. So I'm honestly pretty happy.
Nice. I'm happy enough with that score. I think I got a little too excited after the first few songs, and I was like, oh, damn,
Yeah, it kind of
3.5. But I do agree that the album is kind of front-loaded for you, and I understand that. I think the back half is more of an acquired taste,
I could see that.
and you either like it or you don't. And I do like it. I like it enough to give this album a 4.5.
Damn.
If there's any album that people are going to get angry with me for scoring so high, it's this one, and it's The Human Condition by John Bellion from last year. And I get it. I think some of me liking this album is due to nostalgia. The fact that I listened to this in high school and I thought it was really good. I think outside of that, the production on here is really good. I like a lot of the vocals on here. And I think there are some very great moments that are unique to this album that just work super well for me. So I gave it a 4.5. I think it's, like I said before, one of the definitive albums of Los Angeles during this time.
Which I do agree with. If it like is in that space very much so.
Did it make you think about LA when you were listening to it in that time period?
It reminded me a lot of it, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. And I think that just doing that is kind of a win,
yeah,
I would say. Because there are other albums that are like technically better or whatever than this, but I don't think they make you feel so connected to a time and place like this one does. Now that we've reached the end of the album, I do have to ask you the mandatory questions. Will you add any of these songs to playlists, and will you return to this album as a whole, even though you kind of did answer it?
I mean, yeah, I want to return specifically, as everyone can probably tell, to Ain't Tripping to see if my thoughts of it have changed. I don't know if I'll add any songs specifically to a playlist. I don't know if I have a playlist where any of these would honestly fit. Maybe I need to make a new one.
You need an LA playlist.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I don't know. Ain't Tripping could fit into a playlist. I'm just like, that ending still is honestly throwing me for a loop.
I think you'll get used to it.
Maybe.
I will say, the rest of the song is good enough.
That is true.
You can overlook that ending, I think.
That's a good point.
Eventually, it'll just be like, okay, it's 30 seconds. I can deal with that. I do have to also ask you, do you consider yourself a fan of blackbear now?
I wouldn't say a fan, just because I think the style is not for me. But like, I can enjoy some of their stuff. Like, I wouldn't turn it off. Like, even there was one song here that I would turn off, Ain't Love, and that's it. Like, the rest, like, if they came on the radio, I would listen to them. So, I think that's a good sign, if anything.
I agree. And my final question, what do you think of this pairing?
This is such a good pairing. I feel like we hit it out of the park, honestly.
I was going to say, I hate this pairing.
Really?
Because I think this movie exists a few years before the album, and they're in a different era.
I could see that. I don't know. It still works for me, honestly.
And I get that. I think the thing that as I was watching this movie, I was like, oh shit, this is the movie that I wanted to pair with Animal by Kesha. And we ended up watching another round, which is, a totally different vibe. But I appreciate it, and I liked that movie. But we have to talk about this movie, this crazy Los Angeles in the 2010s movie. So David, take it away.
Because we're talking about the Bling Ring. So let's get right into it. Let's start with the credits. And of course, we first got to start with the IMDb logline. So let me know what you think. Inspired by actual events, a group of fame-obsessed teenagers use the internet to track celebrities' whereabouts in order to rob their homes.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty good, actually.
That works.
I don't know if everything comes through that's in the logline.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think that is what the movie's about.
I agree. We are talking about The Bling Ring, which is a crime film. It's written and directed by Sofia Coppola, produced by Roman Coppola, Sofia Coppola, and Yuri Henley. The cinematography is by Harris Savides and Christopher Blauvelt. It's edited by Sarah Flack. The music is by Brian Reitzel and Daniel Lapoutine.
Yes, 10 Tricks Point Never.
That's right. And it's distributed by A24. And it is, in fact, rated R because of all the coke in this movie.
I could not believe that this was an A24 movie. Is this number 2 or number 3 for them ever?
I don't know the number, but it's definitely like one of their very early films.
I think it's like number 3 because I think the first movie they did was Spring Breakers by Harmony Korine, if I remember correctly, which is just crazy.
That is pretty crazy. No, but it definitely is like one of their very early films that they distributed. I don't know if they produced it, but
yeah. When I saw it, I was like, damn, I didn't know they existed in 2013, honestly.
No, they did. They've been around for so long. I think people just didn't start noticing them until the late 2010s.
I also didn't watch movies during this time, so
True. I mean, you still don't, aside from the podcast.
Hey, I'm going to watch at least 52 movies this year.
Fuck yeah. That's it. Hey, that's better than some people.
And you know what? It's actually going to be 53 because I watched Project Hail Mary in theaters too. So how about that?
And I'm going to force you to watch some other things in theaters too. So it'll be a little bit higher.
Can't wait for Jackass 5.
The movie also stars Israel Brassard, Katie Chang, Taisa Farmiga, Emma Watson, and Leslie Mann, amongst others. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the real Bling Ring, because that's kind of important considering that this is based in real life. Did you know anything about them aside from this movie, obviously?
I had never heard of this.
It was a real thing. There was a real group called the Bling Ring that was made up of 7 teenagers and young adults based in and around Calabasas, California. And they did in fact break into several high-profile celebrities' homes over a period between October 2008 and August 2009. This included Paris Hilton's home, Lindsay Lohan's home, Orlando Bloom's home, and more. Obviously, this is all in the film. You hear all these names in the film, and Paris Hilton is even in the film. All in all, they stole $3 million in cash and belongings until they were eventually caught. They were convicted, and they all served various sentences. At this point, they are in various stages of whatever they're doing. Some of them, I believe, have gone back to jail. Some of them are living more or less normal lives. And some of them are maybe still celebrities. I am not honestly sure. But of course, this happened on Hollywood's backyard. So Hollywood came a knocking, as they typically do. It all came to a head in 2011 when Sofia Coppola came on board to develop a screenplay that she would also direct and produce. Francis Ford Coppola, who we have talked about so much at this point.
Yes.
He came on as an executive producer through his production company, American Zoetrope, with Roman Coppola joining and procuring funding. Which, for those of you who don't know, Roman Coppola has done a bunch of producing and writing with people like Wes Anderson, with Sofia Coppola, of course, with his father, Francis.
And we should say that Francis is the father. Roman and Sofia are siblings.
Yes, we should say that. Sorry, I forgot.
Nepo children.
Nepo children. And in case you don't know, Nick Cage is also their cousin.
Yeah.
And the nephew of Francis Ford
And isn't
Coppola.
Jason Schwartzman one of them too? Yeah.
Yep, he's also one of them. Talia Shire is one of them.
Yep.
It's just like a giant family. But when talking about the film, Sofia Coppola described the group as, quote, products of our growing reality TV culture, end quote. And it should be noted that the film is a departure from her earlier work like Lost in Translation. A lot of her films up to that point and after that point deal with women, trying to find themselves, a lot of themes that fall into that kind of. But this was quite different. As she put it, the Bling Ring deals with, quote, girls trying on other people's stuff to find themselves, end quote. So in some ways similar, but more about the celebrity lifestyle than, becoming lost in that, I guess. She did decide that aside from Emma Watson, she wanted to cast unknowns who were actually close to the age of the members of the Bling Ring. And that's why this cast is
good decision.
Good. I agree. I commend her for that decision because I think it makes it feel closer to a documentary in some ways.
I agree.
Which I do like, and which is in some ways I don't know, I think her style lends itself to that. Although, and I will speak about this later, I don't know if her style is best suited to this film specifically. We'll talk about it.
We will talk about it.
Yes. Now, Emma Watson, of course, is British, but she worked hard on her accent and she did a lot of research on her character by watching, quote, a ton of TV, end quote, including The Hills and Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Great way to get a Southern California accent.
Yeah, and you can tell that it worked because her accent is very good. I've known so many people that have that exact accent.
It's pretty good. Yeah. It's better than her other American
it.
accents is what I've heard, but I can't vouch for that.
Something else that Coppola decided to do was have the main cast actually fake burgle a house to see how many mistakes they would make.
That's kind of fun.
That sounds like so much fun. I honestly would love to do that. They should make an escape room that's not really an escape room and is instead you trying to burgle a house.
To get in.
Right? Yeah, to get in.
Escape room.
That sounds like so much fun.
That's $1 million idea.
Yeah, I know what to do with my life now. Hollywood, reverse escape room.
Yeah.
That's what I gotta do.
That's where the money is.
Now, they actually filmed in Los Angeles, including West Hollywood, Linwood, and Venice.
Okay, good.
And
I was going to say,
no, they did.
If this was one of those movies they shot in Vancouver, it's like,
you
oh
can
my
tell.
God. I think so too. I could
You
tell.
can absolutely tell. Like it just looks LA. And it looks LA both like with their houses, which look very like suburb valley LA, and with like the houses they're breaking in, which is like,
that's the hills.
100% the hills, the Hollywood Hills, the hills above West Hollywood, 100%. And you know why it looks so much like that? Because they used actual celebrity homes for the films, including Paris Hilton's. Yeah, they got permission from her to use her actual home. And of course, she also cameoed in the film, as did Kirsten Dunst, who of course had worked before. I don't know if before or after this film, but she worked with Sofia Coppola. And ironically, during filming, Emma Watson's wallet was stolen.
Damn.
Now, on a sadder note, during filming, cinematographer Harris Savides was diagnosed with brain cancer. And so his longtime camera operator, Christopher Blauvelt, ended up stepping in as co-cinematographer, and they both worked together to finish the film and were both co-credited. And as you might have noticed, the film would be dedicated to Harry Savides. Now, I honestly don't have much more to say, so let's talk about the release. The film was released on June 14th, 2013, and it grossed $20 million on a budget of $8 million.
Oh,
so
not too bad.
Not too bad. And it received mixed to positive reviews. A lot of people agreed that it didn't really match the greatness of Coppola's other works, although Watson's performance did receive a lot of acclaim. And so, I gotta ask you, considering that you lived in Los Angeles, different period for sure, but considering that you did live here, does this movie feel Los Angeles to you? Do you think they got the tone right?
I think for the most part, yes. Feeling wise, yes. And it's kind of hard to separate the feeling of a movie from everything else about it, for me at least.
Yeah.
Because I do think everything else about a movie contributes to the feeling. But I do think there is definitely an LA pre, I don't know what year to cut it off at, 2013, 2014. Like, to me, this is like, seems like the last thing that they made before like FX took off. And there were those like kind of like weirdly mockumentary, like guerrilla filmmaking style. Like I talked about that a little bit with The Beach Bum. Like that kind of feeling of LA is definitely more of a mid to late 2010s thing. But this feels like end of the early 2010s LA kind of vibe. So I think that works.
I do agree. Well, and kind of jumping off of that, Sofia Coppola has a very specific style, which is a style that I really like.
I should say, this is my first time watching a Sofia Coppola movie.
I was about to say.
And I don't know I can't speak for any of her other movies, but I was thinking about her father watching these, because we have watched 2 of his movies.
Did you see like a commonality?
No, not really, other than kind of what I'm going to say later.
I think their style is very different, but the reason why I bring it up is, do you think the style of the film matches like the story and the tone of like the early 2010s?
No.
Yes.
And I think that is one of the fundamental problems of it.
I agree.
I feel like she was trying to make a different movie than what was initially conceived, and also what should have happened.
I agree. And the reason why I wanted to ask that was because this, to me, is her least successful film, as someone that has seen 3 other films of hers. And I say that as someone that likes her films.
I do want to ask real quick, is this the first time you watched this?
This is the first time I saw the Bling Ring. It's been on my watch list for a long, long time.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure like that we were both going into this blind. But okay, interesting. Because you do have a frame of reference for her other movies, and I don't.
I do, and I am a fan of her work. I saw Lost in Translation first, which I honestly don't remember very well. But then more recently, I saw Priscilla when it came out. I saw that in theaters, and I absolutely love that film. And then Jennifer showed me Marie Antoinette, which is one of her favorite films of Sofia Coppola, and that's also a great film. And she has a style that is very particular, where a lot of stuff is happening underneath the surface in some ways, and it's a lot of it can seem like it's style over substance and like a lot of montages and not much dialogue, but to me, I've always found that there is actually a lot of substance there. It's just a lot of it is subtextual. You have to like sit with the film to for what is actually happening to like come to you in some ways. And that's something that I really love. I think she is like exceptionally good at doing that, especially in the films that really work, like Priscilla, for instance. I think that film particularly like works for me because of that style, and I think it fits the story. The problem is for me with this film, it doesn't fit. And I think the reason why it doesn't fit is because this film should be big. It should be over the top in a lot of ways. It should be, in some ways crazy. But the biggest issue for me with this film is that the director and the material just doesn't match fundamentally. And that's a shame because I think this is a story that could have worked really, really well, but it ends up just feeling very flat in some ways and underdeveloped.
I agree with both of those. And I also want to say kind of like boxed in.
Yeah.
Like this
yes,
was
very
a criticism
in.
I had about In the Mood for Love, which I thought is a better film than this, I will say.
I mean, yeah.
Because I feel like In the Mood for Love, the way that the story develops is we see a lot of the same things happening, but with slight changes. In this movie, we just see a lot of the same things happening with no changes. And I don't like that.
It just feels underdeveloped. Kind of what you said, like boxed in. Like it feels, honestly, not to be mean, but kind of like they're all going through the motions in some ways. And I think the element where you kind of notice it the most is honestly the dialogue, which just feels very like scripted. Sorry, but it's not performed very well either.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't work for me very well.
I got a few paragraphs here, and I think the first one sums up what you're trying to say. This movie felt like a film professor showed their class Dog Day Afternoon and asked students to make a film like that. And that one kid who would never shut up was like, OMG, me and my friends are going to make a movie that's even better. And it wasn't. This is from Sofia on Letterboxd. This is just a piece of the review. The fact that this film was based on a true story still blows my mind. It is a fascinating story and one that sounds like a terrific setup for a movie, but the execution is terribly bland. The filming is so lazy and straightforward that these scenes are as exciting as watching your neighbor unlock his front door and go inside after coming home from work. Then the actual robbing parts are just the group picking up celebrities' values and then continually saying, oh my god, this looks so hot. Repeat this process for a good 20 times and you have the first 3/4 of the entire movie. I think that that's a perfect summation of it because I literally felt I was watching things that didn't matter. I don't really know how to say it in any other way without like being mean, but it felt like all of the interesting things about this story were the things that she chose not to include.
It's interesting because with her other films that do work, a lot of it seems like, oh, not much is happening, but there is a lot happening and it really comes through. But with this film, the problem is that there actually isn't really much happening.
Right.
So nothing comes through, I think that's one of the biggest faults of the film.
Yeah. I mean, I said I don't think that there was anything good about this movie. This is not the worst thing I've ever watched, but you could name any element in here and it was done at a below average level.
Yeah.
I'm also left wondering why it exists. I don't think it had anything to say. It interrogated none of the characters' minds, nor did it give any suitable reason for them to go on these adventures. It felt like someone took a poorly retold story about something really cool and then asked someone who had never seen a movie to write a script about it in 3 days. And I wrapped this up by saying, I fear I may never enjoy a movie by the Coppola family. This is a 2.
Well, look, I think that you will because I think this is 100% her weakest film. Like her other films
good to hear.
So much better than this. Like I was genuinely surprised. I knew that this film was divisive. So going into this, I was like, yeah, I'll probably like it less. But I was not expecting for this to not work at such a level as someone that is a fan of her work. Because, hey guys, this is a 2.5 for me.
Whoa.
Yeah, like it just did not work. I was actively bored watching this.
That's like David hates this movie. 2.5.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gone a lot worse, let me tell you. But I mean,
you have, but like 2.5 that's like I don't know. That's a death sentence. I don't think you're rewatching this.
I'm not rewatching this. I do think a part of my score is also the fact that I was honestly very let down because I am genuinely a fan of her work. Like Priscilla was probably my favorite film of 2023. So
Damn.
that shows you just like how much that this did not work for me. And it really is a shame because I just think it was 100% just a mismatched director.
I think director is part of it, but I also think this screenplay is just bad.
Well,
and I think
she also wrote it.
Right. That's, I think, more of the problem. Like, I think she could have directed this movie well if there was a better screenplay.
I guess I say when a director, I mean like the director and writer, you know, like I just don't think this was the project for her specifically.
Like, I just kind of don't understand why it exists almost. Like, that's kind of how I feel about Cats. But that's a grand scale of like, this should have never been made. But this is one of those movies where it's like, I don't know if it should have been made because it also, like, as I was watching it, I thought it feels like a poorly made documentary too. Like, there's no good pieces of anything in it. I think also the acting is, it's really bad. And the dialogue.
I was not a fan.
I'm totally with you. The dialogue, I was just thinking like, wow, did anybody ever say these words out loud before they acted them?
Yeah.
Like it just does not
does not work.
Nothing about it feels good. So this was unfortunately a huge letdown. And I think part of the reason that I was like not super happy about this pairing is because I also didn't like this movie.
Well,
you know?
Yeah.
But
no, I get that.
Yeah, I didn't want to like spoil that early on, but I also had a feeling that you wouldn't like this. I didn't think you'd go 2.5 though. That's impressive. I was thinking this would be more of a 3 for you, but like I wonder if this movie is or will be a cult classic.
I don't think so.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. Because when there's a cult classic, I feel like there's one thing about it that you can latch onto and say, okay, I kind of get why that's good.
Yeah,
even if everything
100%.
else doesn't work. I don't know that anything works in this movie. So I don't think it even has the ability to be a cult classic.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm genuinely sad because I wanted to like this so much more than I actually did.
I mean, going in, I thought this would be a 3 for me because I was just like, I don't think I'm going to like the Coppola family ever more than a 3. And this was even a disappointment from that. So
I'm going to have to get you above that number.
We'll see. Yeah, this was worse than The Godfather. I'll give her that.
Yeah,
I guess I'll give Francis
I absolutely
that.
agree with that.
But I didn't like The Godfather, though. You actually did. So, you know.
Yeah, it's just really, I feel like this episode was kind of weird because it was obviously like a step up from the last episode, but it was still in the middle for me. I enjoyed the album more.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, which that's good. And that is a win for me. And it's also not something that I would have expected going in.
All I'm going to say is I think that I'm going to like what we watch and what we listen to in the next episode a lot more.
I can't say for sure. But I can say for sure that you should support our show on Spotify and Apple. Leave us a review, leave us a rating, tell your friends and family, tell your enemies, and tell anyone who has fallen in love with a stereotypical LA girl.
And if you want to tell us how you fell in love with that stereotypical LA girl or how you had cocaine that you started off of someone's backside back in the 2010s, email us about it at upcpod@gmail.com. Guys, we have not received one email yet. Y'all better get started. Please, I would love to receive an email. And you know what? If you guys don't even remember what we gave this movie and this album and are confused because you had too much coke off of someone's backside, you can find our letterbox and our Rate Your Musics in our link tree, which is in the description of this episode. On there, you can also find our TikToks and our YouTubes where we are uploading fun little extra material for you guys to enjoy. And in case you guys are wondering what our next episode is that we probably are going to like more than this, at least when it comes to the movie, you can find that on Instagram right now. Maybe this episode will have a guest star.
So we'll see you next week.
Bye.